Thank you all for being here. Today, we are going to be talking about the OBSBOT Talent. The OBSBOT Talent is OBSBOT's latest big thing, and I have the talent right here. We're going to do an unboxing and we're going to go through it. And the first thing everybody's going to say is, it looks like the Magewell. Yes, it does. It is, Magewell is the OEM. Okay, next question. It looks like a Magewell. Yes, it is. It is manufactured. But OBSBOT can tweak it because OBSBOT also makes wireless PTZ cameras. And OBSBOT also makes remotes. And OBSBOT makes a tiny PTZ USB camera. And there's lots of things going on. And OBSBOT has their own apps. So there's a lot going on in this whole ecosystem. The first one in, Bob White, even before we begin, the OBSBOT Talent looks to be a Magewell Director Mini. Yes, but different firmware. So OBSBOT is making their own firmware, and it's going to be different from what Magewell offers now. And as time progresses, they'll probably go in slightly different direction. Like, one of the things I was thinking is that OBSBOT could make it so that from the Talent, you can tell each of the cameras to record 4K internally, basically telling the remote cameras to record, kind of like a Blackmagic does. If you've got the ATEM and you hit record, you could be telling all of your ATEM cameras to record internally on the camera at 6K or whatever, even though your ATEM Mini is only going to be doing HD. So that's a really cool feature. And OBSBOT could very well integrate that into their version of the Talent, or their version of this hardware. Can I control the pan tilt zoom of my USB OBSBOT camera? And the answer was yes. Can you do it on a YOLO box? No. Will the Talent work with the Stream Deck? I think you mean the Elgato Stream Deck, and the answer, as it was with the YOLO box, is no, because Elgato does not make an Android API. And if the Android operating system doesn't know what the device you plugged in is, then it doesn't matter if it's an OBSBOT or a YOLO box. The Android tablet can't pass on commands to it from the software. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the OBSBOT Talent is just the Director Mini rebranded. No. Let's go here. There you go. Powered by Magewell. It's not a secret, okay? Let's get to this. Let's look at the overhead. This is the OBSBOT box. All-in-one, one-to-all, OBSBOT Talent. OBSBOT Talent. And on the back, it gives you what's in the box: the Talent, power adapter, mini stands, a sun hood, thumb screws, quick start guide, and a note card. All right, so let us open up the box. Air couldn't get in there. So here's your quick start guide in the various languages. I am not really going to go step by step and go blah, blah, blah. I'm going to kind of go through things very fast. Notice, standard power adapter from the OBSBOT Talent is 12 volt, 3.3 amps, ensuring power supply. The minimum power supply requirement is 12 volt, 1.5 amps. So again, these are tablets, but the more you plug into them, the more power you're going to need. So if you want to use a USB modem, the device has to power the modem. Because there's, unlike the YOLO, there's no built-in SIM card slot. So if you are out in the wild and you want to, hey, I want to use a modem, you're going to plug in your modem, and the Talent is going to have to power the modem. So that's how that works. And we get this. We're going to, there we go. Yay! It is thus been christened. So if you're, OBSBOT Talent all-in-one, comes down here, powered by Magewell. So again, this is not a secret. I mean, the big knobby corners would kind of give that away anyway, but it's not a secret. So, and actually, I kind of think that's a good thing, because Magewell has a very good reputation for their hardware. So OBSBOT has their whole ecosystem of products and even an app for multi-camera switching, but at the same time, having a piece of hardware that is coming from a company that already has a good reputation, I think just helps. You've got your power adapter, and then you pick the plug that works in your country. For me, it's this one. There. Gilberto, what about batteries? Does the package include them because specs at the end is not clear? No. No batteries. No batteries included in the Director Mini or in the OBSBOT. I have the boxes. I have received the boxes, and I should have. Let me go get a battery. Sony invented the NPF in 1995. 1995 is when they developed this form factor, and it has been used for a long time. Now everybody makes NPF. You can find dozens of versions of NPFs online, and you can plug these into the back of both of these devices. The cool thing is, after a couple years, when your battery starts to wear out, you just stop using it and use a new battery. So here's your two NP slots on the back, and camera pops in just like that. Battery pops in just like that and pops out. So yeah, you can put batteries on the back here, and it uses one and then the other. Now I'm plugged into power, but I like on the one that's actually running this show has two batteries in it, so that if you are, and I hope it's actually got power. It's just been sitting on the shelf for a while. We'll see. If the power goes out, now I'm running on battery, and you see it shows the battery is 3/4 full. So that is your UPS. And if you have power available, you plug the power in, and then that icon changes to I'm plugged in. It does not charge the batteries. I wish it did. It does not. Then again, neither does the Atomos screens. They don't charge the battery either. So, be that as it may, it just doesn't do that. You got your fan and intake out. And what this means is you're really not going to want to lay this down on a table because you're going to smother the fan. So on my Director Mini that is doing the show, I have the smallest batteries, which I think are the 550s. So I have two of the smallest batteries, so there's always something here. But if you don't want to use batteries, I heartily recommend using batteries because that's your battery backup in case there's a power issue. Power fluctuates coming into this device, you've got your batteries already connected. It comes with these little feet. So you can take the foot and plug them in right here. They have the battery mount, and depending upon whether you want to operate it this way with OBSBOT up or this way with ports up, this is how I do it because I want the cables going away from me, not the cables coming at me. You can open up either one of these feet. There we go. Tough to open because I've never opened them before. So that gives you a little bit of an angle on the table. I'm gonna move this out of the way and go to here. So you can see that gives you the space for the fan to breathe so that while you're operating on the table like that, or like I said, if you want to operate the opposite way, now you've got the ports and the power cables and the Ethernet and your SD card are all on that side. And you got the 1/4-20 on this side so that you can either hang it from a magic arm or something like that. On this side, you've got HDMI 1, HDMI 2, and USB. On the other side, you've got your combo mic line, headphone, USB, and power, and a reset button. On top, you've got your 12 volt. It says 1.5, but as the note said, it comes with a 3-amp adapter, SD card input, which I will do that right now, and Ethernet. So that's the device right there. I will use these feet to set it like that. I'm going to go back in the box. You also get a little hood that sits around the unit. So you see the holes are only on the one side there. And this hood comes down, and then you can use little finger screws to put it in place, and then it gives your talent a little bit of a sunshade. I don't operate outside, so I don't use that. My part of the world, having a streaming device that accepts a 4G SIM is a big deal. I hope more manufacturers explore this. The nice thing about it not accepting a 4G SIM, and I agree, having it built in is nice. Having it not built in is also kind of nice because you can pick the USB dongle that works for you. I sound like a broken record. There's a video on the YouTube site that tells you how to set this up, and you have to run the software that's on here. It's a USB stick. And then if you want to use 5G, you can plug a 5G in. Or if you want to use a different provider, like here in the US, if you want to use Verizon, which is CDMA, as opposed to T-Mobile, which is GSM, then you could use a Verizon device. Also, there's an advantage with the fact that this has an Ethernet port right here. You can use a hotspot like a Netgear and take the hotspot and put it outside the building or way up on a stand 20 feet in the air and run an Ethernet cable in to wherever you are. And if the cellular connectivity inside of this metal enclosure would not be the best, then that's going to be offset by the fact that you now put the cellular reception outside and up in the air where it can easily hit the local towers better than if you were trying to do it inside the building, sitting on a table, you know, surrounded by people and other gear. So there's advantages to having it not in the device. Let me plug this in. Let's go for it. DJ Mike, so you ordered this YOLOBOX talent. OBSBOT talent, and I did not order it. They provided it for me to use on the show. I still see this is why I don't like the cables coming down to me. So let us do this. Tap English for me. Next. Agree. All right, really agree. Connect to Wi-Fi. Let's do that. Turn on. We're going to see my Frisco Studios, and then I'm going to type in my super secret password. So there's that. I'm connected. Log in OBSBOT. Enter your email. Get. There it is. There we go. OBSBOT talent. So again, like I said, oh, you can't see it. I can't iris down on this, but it's saying you want landscape or portrait. And I'm going to go with landscape. Across the bottom, there's a scene list. And now that I still can't get to the operating system. There's a list at the bottom. Next, there's your audio mixer, your graphics tab, pen tab, and there's a whole bunch more little tabs and widgets you can get. Stream is the little glowy icon. Record is the record button. The little camera is take a snapshot of the screen. So if you want to like just grab something and it'll grab that, and that's where you access your main music. Let's start using it. There we go. Now I can turn the brightness down so it's not way too bright on camera. Woo! Over here you see it's got NDI. NDI configure, RTMP server, SRT caller, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live are all built in here. This does not, unlike the YOLO, because I know a lot of viewers on this channel know about the YOLOBOX. The YOLOBOX has built-in multicasting. The Magewell and the OBSBOT devices do not. OBSBOT Talent versus YOLOBOX Mini. Which is the best? As always, it depends on what you want to do. Do you need it to have internal batteries or not? Do you want the ability to swap out the battery if you want internal SIM or not internal SIM? So you need to determine what you need, and then those needs will determine which is best for you. Bonding versus Speedify will only be in the Director Mini. Okay. Can I rotate this? Yes, thank you. It has a built-in gyroscope. So whereas the YOLO box can be flipped, it forgets that it's flipped. And this one, if you're using it this way, it works this way. If you just rotate it like this, it'll spin around. Just to let you know, you can use it one way or the other, hanging up or hanging down, and the gyroscope will let you do that. So what I did just there is, if you just want to clear it, I would just want to look at my picture. There's my picture. If I want to tap it and call it my input, there it is, and now I can tap it and clear it. So simple features, elegant touchscreen interface. Up at the top, you've got my Wi-Fi status. I'm plugged in. There's an SD card. There's my audio meter, which is live. It is stereo. It is very responsive if you're looking for a responsive audio meter. OBSBOT versus YOLO. That one goes to the OBSBOT. HDMI 2, webcam 1, camera 1, and there's my photo. And then over here, let's see, you got your HDMI 1, HDMI 2, webcam 1, webcam 2. Now it says webcam. These are USB cameras. And I have one here. I am going to plug in this tiny little OBSBOT Tiny, which is on USB, and I'm going to go to USB A. I'll put that right here, and then plug that into my USB input on the side. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Video clips, it does video playback. You can load pictures from my SD card. Here's my media. I can do logos. Actually go back up to the parent folder. Backgrounds. Let's do this industrial grid. Nope, that's not the way I wanted it. So let's rotate it. So you can see this nice little layer generation tool. I can make it bigger to fit the screen. I can say save. And now that is an input. The industrial grid vertical. One thing that I think these devices should include is a USB-C to HDMI output. And I did not think to have one of those ready, so I don't have that. So we're just gonna have to look at the screen. So you can see these are various sources. There's my webcam, right there. Boop, boop, boop. It's a little slow. There you go. There's my webcam. There's my main camera. There's my webcam. And if I come over here and I say PTZ, you can see that I can pan and tilt. Can I zoom out? That is zoomed out. Oh, let's put that back in autofocus. Store that as 1. Zoom in. Store that as 2. Go back to 1. Yes, I said go to preset 1. And here's AI human tracking. Ooh. Update OBSBOT cameras firmware to enable AI human tracking. I wanted to update this video past what I did in the live show because I have since updated the firmware on the PTZ camera. Like I said in this video several times, the ability that this enables OBSBOT to update their cameras to understand the talent and update the talent to understand the cameras. Let me give you an example. So where I just did this demo, was not able to save the presets. So now I can say store this as P1. I can zoom in, store that as P2. I can then click back and it'll go back to P1. In addition, this area at the bottom, AI human tracking, was grayed out previously. Now that I've updated the firmware on the camera, however, these two devices know about each other. I'm able to do this, which normally would require a hand gesture, which you really don't want to leave on because random hand gestures could have the camera doing random things. Turn it off. Or you would need a separate device to be able to talk to the camera and turn it on and off, which you can't really do when it's USB connected directly to the talent. So now here on the talent, I'm able to turn on human tracking so that if I move to the side, it's just going to keep tracking me. It's going to keep tracking me. And then I come back into the middle here, and it's going to keep tracking me, and it's going to keep tracking me, and that, now I don't need any other devices. I can do that directly on the OBSBOT talent. So again, that is something that is going to be possible because OBSBOT is doing the software in the tablet as well as the software in the camera. let's look at NDI and see if there's NDI search. See if it happens to find a camera or two. So if NDI mode is on and I do an NDI search, here it is. So there's my camera. So you can see, there's my camera. And the cool thing with NDI is, this is my NDI feed, but I can be using the app and zoom in if I use the right controls. And then that becomes my NDI shot, closer. So now if you come over here, you see it's got the closer shot. And if I move that window, you'll see the camera view moves. So you can do cool pans using the software. You can sort of give that job to someone else who's using the tablet to control the camera. But I digress. Save that. Now, there's my tail air. And if I add PTZ, I can control that camera. Store 1. Let's zoom in. Whoops. I wish you could just grab the picture and move it, but. Store 2. Go back to 1. Go to 2. Let's go back into here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rearrange or custom do this. I don't need the pen, so I'm going to remove the pen and I'm going to put the PTZ control in there. There. You can customize the buttons you want. Freeze, switch settings, and that means, do you want it to fade? How fast do you want the fade to be? And the fade to black, how fast do you want the fade to black to be? That could be faster too. And that's if you're using that. I personally just like to cut different scenes. So that is why if you turn the graphics off and you go like this, oh, it is actually doing that. So let me go way back into those switch settings. I don't want it to fade. So what it's allowing you to do is, this in red is the source that's still active. This is the one that's live. This one is here, and then I can fade or cut. So it's sort of like auto or cut. So this is the one I'm going to go to, and then I could either cut to it or I could fade to it. Although technically I would not change the program that I see up here until I made that change. I don't want to go to that. I didn't change to that yet. So I would not want to go to it until I actually say cut. Like that. Or I don't want to see that until I fade to it. I would change that. Camera, I've got a USB camera. I can add another HDMI source, and I can add another USB source over here. I could add, as you saw, NDI. So there's my NDI, and that is a weird thing where it's actually caching all of the stuff that happened until I went back to it. So if I come back to me here and I wave my hand up and down, you can see the NDI over here is waiting. And when I cut to it, there, it shows all of that. And I don't know why it does that. It does that on the Director Mini as well. So I think that's an underlying NDI cache thing going on. There's an RTMP pull. So you can pull down an RTMP source. So if you've got a GoPro or something like that, you can pull in the RTMP that the GoPro is pushing out. You can bring in an SRT stream. When it's not in program, you press and hold, and then you can rename, delete, copy, edit to PTZ. I'm going to delete, delete. And these are not just sources. You don't need just a camera. You don't need just a background. So here, I'm just going to say, I'm going to edit this. Here's my background, and I'm going to add my HDMI 1, just like that. And then I can come over here and crop this like this, save, and then I'm going to size it down a little bit. I'm going to put it over here, and then I'm going to give it a little border. I'm going to make it a little heavier. I'm going to round the corners a little bit. I'm going to say good. That's the frame, and then I want to add that's my webcam 1, I believe, webcam 1. And then I can make this bigger over here. And then I could give that a frame, weight, give that a little bit more weight, and I'm going to change the color of that frame to orange, and I'm going to change the corners and round those corners a little bit, and then I can change the position whether I want it outside. Let's do that, and then I could put that right over here. And you see how it's also giving me, I don't know if it's coming across very well, it's giving me alignment, like those center aligned, top aligned, bottom aligned. So it's giving you little alignment things to make it easier to build your multi-view. Save. And here now I have a multi-view. Each one of these sources is really a scene. You don't just have camera feed. Even with just the camera feed, if I know I'm going to want to do something with this camera feed, I can edit this camera feed and say, you know what I'm going to want to do? I'm going to want to do a chroma key on this camera feed. Boom. I'm going to say do green. And then I'm going to say I'm done with the chroma key, and then I'm going to add a layer, and I'm going to take a, where's my image? Picture. And then I'm going to use the model, not the vertical, the modeled back. There it is. And I'm going to make that bigger, and then I'm going to move it down. There. So now I'm over top of that. Save. So now when I cut to my camera, I know I'm not going to want the green screen camera. I'm never going to want the green background behind me. So I just change it right there. And then I'm able to also do something on the side or something in the corners. All of that is a scene. And these things allow me to go between this scene with me and then come over here and this other scene that I built. Now, this is before I changed the background. So you can come back in here. You can edit these. You can select this item and then say, let's do a chroma key on this source. Let's do the key color. That's green. Done. And then for this whole thing, I'm going to want a different background. So let's go get a picture. Let's go get textured paper. That's because that's a vertical. I've got vertical and horizontals in here. And these are pre-made for me. Well, I pre-made them. Let's move it all the way down in layers. And then you can see that the green screen right here is keying away, and it's not carrying forward any background that's there. So it's just me in a box. Save. And then we've got a multi-view, and then we got the single view, and then we got the webcam, and then we've got the multi-view, and then we've got the NDI camera right here. So when it finally catches up, it's pretty close in time. Rearrange. There we go. So I can take this, I can move this down. So I'm skipping over this camera. I can just delete that. And this HDMI 2, there's nothing there. I can delete that. So this way you can clean up your little delete that. Now I've got the things right here in line. I don't have to look around. I actually want this picture-in-picture over here. And then if I wanted to duplicate that and then make changes, make various versions. So like this little multi-view with me and this thing, if I didn't have a sub switcher and all of the inputs could fit into this box, I could just make a series of 4 different picture-in-picture boxes. I say take this thing and I say duplicate it. So this is integrated vertical, you know, let's just change this and say pip 2, copy. So now I've got industrial grid vertical 1 and pip 2. I can rename this one, but now you can see I've got these 2 and I can change. I say done. I come over here, I edit this, and I don't like this picture, so I'm just going to take that and I'm going to delete that item. I'm going to add color bars. I'm going to size that out, a little too big. Put it right there, save. Now I've got my industrial grid, and then I've got different picture-in-pictures just like that. So that enables you to build a multi-view and then just carry it between different iterations. Will the Magewell Director app work for the phone camera? Thanks for the live. No, it did not. And you can see there's an audio meter moving with that. There's actually no audio moving with the webcam. There's audio moving with the HDMI 1. And when I bring up the HDMI 1, there's my audio because there's an audio mixer in here. And you can see it says audio follows video on HDMI 1. You can see the audio meters are very responsive. They're stereo. And the USB audio is off. Oh, let's turn that on. So now you can see my HDMI audio is ahead of my USB audio. We're going to turn that off again because that would create a bad echo. You've got a separate monitor audio level for your headphones. You've got your microphone jack right here. HDMI 2, camera 1, and here's my NDI. My NDI is on, audio follows video. We can turn that on as well, always on. And now you can see that my HDMI 1 is ahead of my NDI, which makes sense. Again, when you do anything over the network, it's being compressed in the camera, being sent around the network, and then coming into here being decompressed versus directly coming in on a wire. The one that has to go the longer path is going to take longer than the one that's coming directly and not being compressed. So you have this little audio mixer. Each one can be set to audio follows video, always on, always off. Camera 1, HDMI 2. I don't have anything plugged into them. And this is always available to you with that little mixer icon. And then the audio for the device, you've got a default for input. A monitor device is the headphone jack, input delay. Now the monitor device is the headphone jack. You can use Bluetooth headphones for monitoring. And then the output microphone sound to the monitor device. What that really means right here, this is actually very important. Output the microphone input sound to the monitor device. It's a very roundabout way of saying mix minus. So if you're doing a show and you have people on stage and you're using this for the show, and you want to play videos, you want to have a countdown timer and all that stuff, you want all that audio to be played in the room. But you don't want the people who are on stage that are coming into the recording and the stream to come back into the room from here because it's going to be delayed. So what you do is you bring them in the microphone jack and then you turn this off so that that microphone sound from the people on stage, your talent, comes in. It's part of the recording, it's part of the stream, but it doesn't get played back out of the headphone jack. So that way you can play the headphone jack for all your, hey, let's watch this video of this, this competition. You play the video. All right, let's watch this other video, and you play the video. All those videos will play into the room, but the people talking on stage who are part of the live stream are not being played back into the room. So that is a really cool feature right there. And then you can output the microphone sound to USB-C if you're feeding it into Zoom or something like that, yes or no. So it's kind of like mix minus, but in a very basic, allow this one particular input to carry through or not be output back out. Graphics, you can build graphics in here. You've got a title, a lower third, animated text, a digital clock, analog clock. You saw the timer. I used the timer at the beginning of the show to do a countdown. Social media. Now, these devices have like a big, here it is, 8 minutes and 24 seconds. Well, it's going to take 8 minutes and 24 seconds for that hand to move all the way around the screen. That's a long time. And my countdown's 14 minutes. You got your social media overlays, logo overlays, scoreboards. So there's a bunch of different scoreboards in here. Ooh, I like the baseball diamond one. That's a cool, light and dark. So probably need some basketball and cricket and things like that. You can bring in a web page, social media icons. So you've got those. Oh, and it's been updated for X. That's good. Bullet lists, analog clocks, digital clocks, animated text. This is like a little scrolling thing that goes by. So that is their animated text. The lower thirds are not animated. They don't wipe on and wipe off. These lower thirds are not animated. Whereas if you 5 years ago, Switcher Studio on a much lower powered iPad was having things that built on nicely and then, fluttered away. And that just creates a very polished look. None of these all-in-one devices, not the Signetreak, not the OBSBOT, not the YOLO, none of these, or the InStream, none of these do, fancy animated graphics on and off yet. So That, I think, is something that they could all aspire to. And then just basic title just sitting there on the screen. Close that. And then over here, you've got your pen. If you've not seen the pen, you can say, this is very important, but I don't like this stuff over here. You know, so you've got a telestrator built in. So if you're doing sports, record replay, you've got instant replay in the device. So if you're doing sports and you're going to do instant replay, that's where having that little telestrator, that little pen saying, oh, you can see he's going to go over this direction, and then she's going to run around that way and block him. And then you've got your pen, you've got your color, you've got how quick till it goes away, or menu will go away, and that is auto clear after 5 seconds. And the thickness, me personally, I think that's as thick as it gets. Thin. Okay, that's too thin to actually be usable. And the thickest is still thinner than I would like it to be. I would like to see that and then double it, so that you could be like chunky, you know, but that's just me. For your encoding and streaming, because these are all-in-one devices, you go into your settings and you go into your encode. You've got 2 different encodes. You can stream, or you can record at a high bit rate and stream at a low bit rate. Pretty cool. They're encode 1 and encode 2. You can see I've got 720p at 30 and 1080p at 60. If you click and hold on this, you get a bunch of presets and you can add whatever you want. You know, you just build it out. So let's go into adding one. I want to encode the program or any of my ISOs. I want to do H264 or 265. I want to do 1080, 720. I want to do 60 frames or 30 frames. I want to set my bit rate. I want to set my audio bit rate. And then you can even get into like baseline, high, variable bit rate, constant bit rate, and all that stuff, and what your keyframe intervals. If you need to, those settings are there under advanced. I'm going to close that. Basic H264, 1080, 60 at 6 megabits. Let's, you know, we can take this up to 10 megabits or 10,000 kilobits and add, and there now I've got that as available preset. So if I went into encode 1, which is at 6 megabits, and I would rather have that at 10, I can then, oh, it's not, why didn't it show up here? That's weird. Interesting. The one that I created, it doesn't show up in the available list, only in the encode 2. So I can make that one 10, and I can make encode 1, the 720, 30 at 2.5. So I can do 720p, 720p 30 at 2.5 megabits on 1, and 1080p 60 at 10 megabits on 2. And then when you go to record, here's my local record. What do I want to do? Do I want to record the 720p or the 1080? Of course I want to record the 1080. And you can say save to the SD card first, start a new file every 4 gigabytes, or there's actually internal storage on these devices. So you have that available as well. And then we're going to go to our stream. I don't have anything set up because I just pulled it out of the box. So RTMP, it's going to go to the server. What do I want to encode? The 720p 30. That's what I'm going to want to send, is the encode 1. And then you can put in all your streaming destinations. Then when you're ready, you hit the record button, boop. You hit the stream button, boop. That's going to, like I said, I haven't set anything up. And you're ready to go. That's it. You got your replay. Turn the replay on. So you got your replay camera 1 and replay camera 2. So you've got your 2 settings are also being used here. And then your replay buffer length. I don't necessarily know if I need a 20-second replay. So I can shorten the 10. There's a replay watermark. So you can say replay. And then there's a stinger transition, 2.5 seconds long, MP4 video file. MP4s do not have alpha. And so it's going to play the short little whoosh and then cut to the next video. Mute mic and global sound during replay. I would actually leave your microphone on, because if you're going to slow down your replay, you don't want to have the slow down audio. You just want to be able to talk over it. So I would leave leave them on. Side-by-side replay, because you can actually have two replays going from both of your replay sources at the same time. And the background of the side-by-side. So if you're doing side-by-side, you need something behind it. So you got like a little thing going on there. I am not going to turn that on because that's going to use resources. OSC for remote control, if you use that. That was the switch settings, the quick switch that we talked about. Storage, you have internal storage, you have 64 gigabyte. Well, you don't have all of 64. It says 14 is used. So figure, you know, you've got 60, 50, you got like 48 gigabytes of storage internally. You don't even have to put in an SD card. And then you've got the SD card. You got your code, you got your Bluetooth capability, and the Bluetooth capability is what I am using right here. I'm using a Bluetooth keyboard to switch my show on the Director Mini. So if I want to go between this and just my shot, I'm just pushing the one key. And if I want to go to just the overhead, I go to that. And if I want to go to the side-by-side, I push the little side-by-side button. And if I want to add a title, go like that. So all of that is being done through Bluetooth and shortcuts. So there's web access you can do, and I've got a video on this on the YouTube website where you can go through and build your shortcuts so that when I sense this button being pressed, then I will do, and there's pop-ups. Do you want to switch something? Do you want it to add a graphic? Do you want to execute something, start record, stop record, a whole bunch of different things that you wanted to do. And then there's 3 different things too. You can have it do this and add a title and do something else. So that's really cool that you can actually have 3 different things. What I would love to see is, you know, like 5 steps and say, do this, wait 10 seconds, then do that. But that doesn't exist yet. The display, you got your brightness level, energy. Actually, I'm going to take the colors and I'm going to take them natural, boosted. I'm going to go back to natural. I don't need boosted colors. I think this box has a lot of flexibility. The question is, can it take all the pressure? Funny you should ask. If you go to StreamTech site on YouTube, I have put the Magewell version of this, not with the 3.0 update, through as much as I could give it. 10 inputs. I had 10 inputs into the Magewell Director Mini, and I ran it for a while with 10 inputs, switching between 2 different multi-views with 3 different inputs each, with as slow a dissolve as I could make. So for that entire dissolve, you had 3 and 3 over backgrounds, so that's 4 inputs and 4 inputs. You had 4 inputs dissolving between 4 inputs, and there was 0 drop frames. So can these Magewell built devices take the pressure? My testing says yes. You know, that's why you come here, is because I'm not an AI bot. I'm not reading reading a marketing script. You know, this is an actual end user testing these things and putting them through as whatever I can dish out. And that is the difference. You know, watch content generated by real humans who don't care about the marketing and just want to beat these things up, like me. What is the screen size anyway? I believe it's 5.5 inches. No specifications in the little quick start guide. Nope, it's not on the box either. I believe it's 5.5 inches. This is the OBSBOT Talent. This is the YOLO Box Mini. So you can see the screens are almost exactly the same size. Looking at it here, for me, I might say the YOLO is a little taller, but they are the same width. And the case of the YOLO is a little bigger. You can see that the Director Mini and the OBSBOT, since they share the same frame hardware, is actually physically smaller. But this has a battery in it and it's running. This does not have a battery in it and it's thicker. This also has a fan on the back. You also want to keep this elevated so it can breathe. But you can see one HDMI input, one USB input, one HDMI out, two HDMI inputs, two USB inputs, one USB output, no HDMI out, but you can convert the display port over USB-C to HDMI from here. SD card, SIM card slot, no SIM card slot, Ethernet port, mic or line, although they seem to be very similar, headphone, mic, line, combo, headphone port, and USB-C for power. This is not for data or connecting anything else. This is just for power. This requires 5 volts at 3 amps. This requires 12 volts at 3 amps, or for when you're really pounding it, they say give it 3 amps. So you can see there's a bit of difference between these two devices. Again, this is what you're not going to get this with an AI video. And this is chunkier, this is wider. This is going to get even bigger with batteries on the back. This has the battery built in, and you could plug in an external battery bank into here and cycle between that or power supply, and then use this internal battery as your UPS. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share a video. That would really help me out a lot. Find a video you like and share it with somebody else. If you need consulting and direct one-on-one, you could reach me at stream4us.us, and there's a contact page up there. Over here, I also have StreamTech on Patreon. That's brand new. I have glitter stickers for those who want to join and support non-AI content producers like myself, who actually go and do real testing and beat these things up. Boop, 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 boop. If you pull down from the top, it tells you your IP address right there. That's what I see. Look at that. OBSBOT talent. I'm going to guess it's admin. There we are. Okay, for those who want to know, it's admin, capital A on both. Now you have to change it to a different password. So here it is. You can see the inputs. HDMI 1 is in use, webcam is in use, NDI is in use. Here's your produce tab. So you can see each of my things going on right there. And the web interface is going to be, it's actually not too bad. And I can actually switch the show from the web interface. And then down here is the shortcuts that I was talking about, where you can add a shortcut, add a function, click from here. I want to go to a different scene, switch to the specific scene. Which one? I wanted to switch to PIP2, add, and then I also want to go in here and add, okay, let me come back over here, and I need to create a graphic just so that I could have add a graphic, turn on a graphic, graphics name, lower third, add, and this is where I was saying I'd love to have it say wait 10 seconds and then take the graphic off so that I wouldn't have to think about it. I'll find a key for the shortcut. So then I sit here and say, I don't have anything connected to the device, but that's where you would do, that's where I was saying you find the button like I have with this. You find the button and then you add the shortcut. It won't let me do it unless I have a button. Cancel. Interesting, you can't have a shortcut unless you're assigning it to a physical button, as opposed to just have the shortcuts here in the web interface so that somebody could just boop, 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 do those shortcuts there. But anyway, here's your encode settings. And you can see the extra one that I built down here with 10 megabits. I wish it was up here. I thought it would be available to both, but it's not. Your stream settings and destinations. So this is the web interface is a lot handier if you need to put in a custom RTMP or something like that, so that you can get it from Facebook and then paste it into here, or get it from Vimeo and paste it into here, or get it from Instagram and paste it in here. You could do that directly via the web interface. Here's your recording, different media that I have available, pictures, videos. I don't have any videos loaded. Different music. I don't have any music loaded. And then different system settings. So that is the OBSBOT web interface. So does it have the web interface? Yes. Can you set an intro and outro video with a timer? You can. And that is what I have on my show. I have a 14-minute timer, and you can actually set it so that at the end of playing that timer, an action happens. And the action that happens is switch to the input, switch to another input. So at the end of my timer, which has a certain, input banner and graphics overlay, at the end of that timer, it switches from the video input, which has the music attached to it, to another video input that has a clean background and no music attached to it. So it does all that automatically for me. Does it have a vertical strain setting? Vertical stream? It does have, like when you go to create a show, it asks whether you want a horizontal or vertical show. So I can create a vertical show, and I can say this one's going to be at 30 frames a second, and I'm going to create. Yes, that's fine. HDMI 1. So here's my vertical stream. Gonna need to make this a little taller, don't you think? To fit, there we go. There's my tall frame. And I'm gonna add my webcam down here. And then I'm going to add, I wonder if it kept my graphic. Can I add my graphic? No. Save. And then there's my graphics. Oh, I need to add a new graphic. So this is a different show. So come into here, and I'm going to do a lower third. That looks great. I'm going to put that down here. Save. And then I say add the lower third. There it is. And this is kind of what I do for Instagram. So I have me at the top, and I have this horizontal show down here at the bottom, and then I've got a title in case somebody tunes in and wonder what all this is. So I've got that title that's always there, and this is the vertical show that I create. But I think one of the key things is when you go to your stream settings, you're still going to have the same output. So it's not like you've got TikTok and Instagram built in here. Those APIs are not built in, and I don't think you can RTMP to TikTok, and you can RTMP to Instagram. So the question would be, if I RTMP'd this vertical setup, would this be intact when it was received with Instagram? I can't answer that. I just pulled it out of the box today. So yes, you can do vertical, and I cheated. I used the 2 feet from one side, and now I've got it tilted vertically, and I folded the other one up, because remember, it's got 2 of these. So instead of doing these 2, I did these 2 at the top, and now these 2 are giving me the tilt this way, so that the cables can come out. I like the cables coming out of the top and not at me. And here's my audio mixer, just like before. Interestingly, because it's the meters are horizontal, but all of the writing has been rotated, so now it's readable sideways, because you're going to be having the tablet this way. That is another cool, underlying feature. You can have different shows. You can create a show. You can name these shows. Show list. So here's my shows, and then rename. I can rename default show daily show. Save. So now when I want to do my daily show, that's the one I want. If I'm going to do soccer in the evening, or My daughter's basketball game, basketball game. If I'm going to do my son's soccer game on the weekend, soccer game. So there you go. And you can switch between those shows, and each of those shows will keep the media and the presets and the audio and the titles. All that stuff that you create for that show are going to be stored in that show, and you can switch between the shows. Also, on the YouTube channel, right here, again, subscribe if you haven't already, share a video, that helps me out, become a member, Patreon. Over here, I did a quickie that showed you there's not a default no show loaded yet screen. And when it boots up, it's going to boot into your show. You can hit the power button just to turn the screen off, but you could still be doing your show and recording and everything. So it's still processing everything that's going on there. But if you're using this thing every day and you don't want the fan to be, kicked up and always running and everything, what I did was I created a new show, create a show. I created this show that has nothing in it, and then when I just want to basically turn it off, I do that. So it's still on. I don't have to boot it up and anything, and it's easy to come over here and go back into my daily show. Now it's going to be bringing in all these sources and rendering the pictures and doing all the previews and stuff like that. But when I don't want it working all that hard, and I just wanted to be like, hey, listen, just relax. Basically exiting the live production app and go back to like a stable, just waiting state. So the fan doesn't ramp off, it can cool off and everything. That's what I do, is I go to this blank state. Photo cut for you. How do I become a member of your group? I haven't yet created the groups on StreamTech, but I do have a Patreon. Just look for Anthony Barocas. That's me. And when you see the big purple border, that's right there. So you can sign up there, and I will be creating a membership on YouTube as well. Those are the two ways. And then if you're looking to buy one of these, I will be putting affiliate links in the description of this video, so you can come back in an hour or a day and use the affiliate link to buy the items so that I can make 50 cents. Also, I want to point out that Tech4 is one of the companies that sell the Magewell. They also make these cool 3D printed screen covers. So if you want to travel and just toss this in your bag, now your screen is protected. Yes, everything made for a Director Mini will fit the OBSBOT Talent because they have the same physical exterior shape. Also, I will point out that if you like to use a bigger stand, PK1, you can find them at PK1. They make a stand for the Magewell that obviously will fit the OBSBOT Talent. It's got the little cutouts for the corners, and you can find those two right here. So Tech4 has 3D printed items, both a table stand and the screen protector cover right there. And then the other one is PK1.TV. So it's not on their website yet. They sent me a sample, which I find is a little tight. And it's not cut to keep the batteries in here. So they're going to rejigger this part a little bit so that you can keep the small batteries plugged into the back of this and have it still sit in the little stand, so it has the proper angle. Because if you're using these, you don't have batteries. I would much rather have the small NPF batteries on the back of the unit so that you have backup power in case the power goes out, in case there's a power failure. Backup batteries will let you safely stop your record, safely close the stream and everything. Or keep the stream going if you're doing a USB modem. Keep the stream going while you run around and figure out what's going on with the power, and that way you'll be able to keep the batteries on and use the PK1 Pro stand or the other stand from Tech 4 actually does work with the batteries plugged into it, which is how I do the show every week. I have the Magewell Director Mini, and I have the 2 batteries connected in the back so that if the power goes out, then the device keeps running. So thank you all for being here, and I will look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks.